So you've been defrauded. Now what? Launching a court case against a company that you believe has defrauded you can be a complex process. Look, no one wants to be in this position, right? You wake up one morning, pour yourself a bowl of cereal, maybe check the stock prices on your phone, completely normal stuff, and then, bam, you realize you've been utterly screwed over. And it's not just my cereal is soggy because I poured the milk in too fast, kind of screwed. This company took my hard-earned money and ran off to Aruba, probably laughing about it on a beach somewhere, kind of screwed. Well, fret no more, because I, with the help of our very good friend Henry, am here to guide you through the labyrinthine hellscape that is the legal system. Think of me as your Virgil, but instead of leading you through the 9 circles of hell, we're tackling the 10 steps of suing someone for fraud. And don't worry, it's not as terrifying as it sounds. Okay, maybe it is a little terrifying. All right, it's very terrifying, but that's why we're here. Buckle up, Buttercup, because things are about to get legal eye. Here's a step-by-step guide to help you navigate it. Gather your ammunition evidence collection. First things first, you need to build your case. And no, I don't mean fashioning a tiny gavel out of soap and practicing your objections in the shower. I mean evidence, cold, hard, preferably organized in a binder evidence. Gather every single scrap of paper connected to this alleged fraud. Contracts, emails, invoices, that napkin you used to scribble down a suspicious phone number on, it all counts. Don't underestimate the power of a good paper trail, folks. It's like a breadcrumb trail, but instead of leading to a delicious gingerbread house, it leads to justice, maybe. And while you're at it, keep a record of everything. Dates, times, names, conversations. If it happened, write it down. Think of it like a meticulously detailed burn book, but instead of ruining someone's social life, it could ruin them financially, legally, of course. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, this sounds like a lot of work. And you're right, it is. But suing someone for fraud is not for the faint of heart or the disorganized. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So put on your most comfortable sweatpants, make a pot of coffee, and prepare to spend some quality time with your printer. You're going to need it. Trust me. Know your enemy and the law. Legal research. All right, now that you've got your evidence bunker built, it's time to arm yourself with knowledge. Specifically, legal knowledge. The kind you can't get from watching courtroom dramas, though I'm sure those Law and Order marathons haven't hurt your case. You need to become intimately acquainted with the legal definition of fraud in your jurisdiction. Because, surprise, the law can vary depending on where you live. It's almost like the people who wrote it didn't anticipate the internet and globalization. But hey, that's a rant for another time. Dive deep into the world of consumer protection laws and regulations. Trust me, they exist, even if it doesn't always feel like it. Think of it like searching for buried treasure, except instead of a pirate map, you have Google. And instead of gold doubloons, you get the satisfaction of knowing you might actually have a case. And that, my friends, is priceless. Or at least it's worth the cost of those legal fees, hopefully. Lawyering up, finding the right attorney. Okay, time to face the music, or rather the legal fees. Yes, you're going to need a lawyer. Unless you happen to be a lawyer yourself, in which case, what are you doing watching this? Shouldn't you be out there lawyering? Finding the right attorney is crucial. You wouldn't hire a plumber to fix your electrical wiring, would you? Actually, don't answer that. The point is you need a specialist, someone who eats, sleeps, and breathes fraud cases. Look for someone with a proven track record, someone who doesn't flinch when you say the word deposition, someone who, and I cannot stress this enough, is willing to explain things to you in plain English. Because the last thing you need is more legal jargon you don't understand. You're not trying to win a vocab bee here, you're trying to get your money back. So go forth and interview potential lawyers. Ask them tough questions like, what are your fees and how many cases like mine have you won? And for goodness sake, make sure you understand the answers. This is your legal battle. You're the general, and the lawyer is your highly educated, very expensive weapon. Now, before you go charging into the courtroom, guns blazing, metaphorical guns, of course, it's worth trying to settle this thing out of court. Think of it as the let's talk about this like rational adults phase of the process. It might not work, but hey, it's worth a shot. This is where the demand letter comes in. It's a formal letter, preferably written on official letterhead, where you lay out your grievances in a clear, concise, and utterly terrifying manner. You're not asking, you're demanding Be specific about what you want, and no, I want them to feel the full force of my righteous fury doesn't count. You need to be realistic. Money, compensation, a written apology from the CEO. Whatever it is, put it in writing, send the letter, certified mail of course, because you need proof they received it, and then you wait and hope, and maybe pace around your living room a little bit, muttering about legal precedent and punitive damages. It's a stressful time, I get it. Okay, so the demand letter didn't work. They probably used it to line their birdcage, the heartless monsters. Don't worry, we've got plan B suing the pants off them, figuratively, of course. Unless you can prove those pants were purchased with your stolen money. Then maybe literally. We'll let the lawyers figure that one out. First things first, you need to figure out which court has jurisdiction over your case. This is where things can get a little tricky, especially if the company you're suing is in another state. Or, a different country. Once you've found the right court, it's time to draft the complaint. This is a big one, folks. The complaint is basically your legal argument, all laid out in black and white. It needs to be clear, concise, and most importantly, convincing. This is where your lawyer's expertise will come in handy. Once the complaint is filed, you pay your filing fees, because apparently justice isn't free. Who knew? And then you wait for the court to process everything. And by wait, I mean obsessively check your mailbox for the next few weeks. It's perfectly normal. I'd do it too. The complaint is filed, the fees are paid. Now it's time to let the defendant know that they're officially in legal hot water. This is where the wonderful world of service of process comes in. It sounds exciting, doesn't it? It's not. Basically, you need to legally serve the company with a copy of the complaint and a summons. This is to let them know that they're being sued and need to respond. And no, you can't just slide into their DMs with a PDF of the complaint. It needs to be done officially. There are specific rules about how and where you can serve someone, so make sure you follow them to the letter. The last thing you want is for the case to be thrown out because you served the wrong person. Or, because you left the documents in the wrong mailbox. It happens. Once they've been served, they have a limited amount of time to respond. And then the real fun begins. Or, the real paperwork begins. It's all relative, really. Chapter 7. Gearing up for battle, preparing for court. Congratulations, you've made it to the part of the legal process that involves actual lawyers in actual courtrooms. Get excited or, incredibly stressed. It's a perfectly valid emotional response. This is where all your hard work preparing your case comes into play. Gather your evidence, organize your files, and practice your arguments in front of a mirror. Or, a jury of your peers or your pets. They're less judgmental anyway. Your lawyer will be your guide through this process, but it's important to be proactive. The more organized you are, the better prepared you'll be for court. And the less likely you are to have a meltdown in the middle of cross-examination, though let's be honest, a good courtroom meltdown could be entertaining, just not legally advantageous. So take a deep breath, channel your inner legal eagle, and prepare to fight for your right to, not be defrauded. Because that's what this is all about, right? The day has finally arrived, your court date. Time to put on your best suit or whatever you feel most confident in and face the legal music. Just remember, courtrooms are not like they are on TV. There's usually less yelling, less dramatic music, and definitely no witty one-liners from the judge. Disappointing, I know. Be punctual, be polite, and for goodness sake, put your phone on silent. Nothing says I don't take this seriously, like a well-timed ringtone during closing arguments. Trust me on this one. When it's your turn to speak, be clear, concise, and stick to the facts. Don't let the opposing lawyer's fancy legal jargon intimidate you. You've got this. And if all else fails, just remember what I said about courtroom meltdowns. Sometimes a little chaos is all you need to shake things up. Just kidding. Please don't create chaos in the courtroom. That's what I'm here for, metaphorically, of course. The trial is over, the arguments have been made, and now all you can do is wait, and probably wait some more. The wheels of justice, much like the wheels on a rusty shopping cart, move slowly. This is the hardest part, I know. The not knowing, the constant refreshing of your email inbox, the wondering if you should have worn a different tie to court. It's enough to drive anyone mad, but trust me, the waiting is a crucial part of the process. It builds character, it builds suspense, it builds a really strong desire to throw your phone against the wall, but we're not going to do that. Not today, anyway. Eventually, the judge will reach a decision, and then you'll either be celebrating your hard-fought victory or, well, figuring out your next move. Because the legal system, like a hydra, often has more than one head. Okay, so the court ruled in your favor. Congratulations, you did it. Now all that's left is to collect your winnings. This is the legal equivalent of going to the bank and cashing a giant novelty check. Except it's probably not going to be giant or a novelty, and it might take a while for the money to actually appear in your account. Sometimes collecting a judgment can be more difficult than winning the case in the first place. Companies can be slippery, especially when they owe you money. They might try to delay, they might try to negotiate, they might even try to disappear completely. It's not unheard of. This is why it's important to have a plan. Work with your lawyer to figure out the best way to collect your judgment. There are legal tools at your disposal, but they can be expensive and time-consuming. Sometimes you just have to accept that you've won the battle, but not the war. But hey, at least you got justice, right? And maybe a good story out of it, and that's got to be worth something, right? So there you have it, folks, a crash course in suing someone for fraud. It's not pretty, it's not easy, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart, but sometimes it's necessary. Because as we all know, the only thing better than justice being served is seeing the look on someone's face when they realize they've been caught. This guide provides a general overview, but it's crucial to consult with a legal professional for advice tailored to your specific situation. Because as much as I enjoy dispensing legal advice on the internet, I'm not actually a lawyer. I just play one on TV or, on YouTube. But hey, at least you're not alone in this. We're all in this together, sort of. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a very important meeting with my lawyer. Apparently, you can't just tell people you're not a lawyer and expect to get away with it. Who knew? Subscribe to our channel for more tips.